This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. It's a roller coaster of betrayal, heartbreak, and, ultimately, justice. I, 35M, met my wife Rebecca, 34F, about 10 years ago. We had one of those whirlwind romances, met at a mutual friend's party, instantly clicked, and started dating seriously within a few months. Rebecca was smart, beautiful, and had this fiery energy that just drew me in. By the time we got married 2 years later, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. For the first few years, everything seemed perfect. We had good jobs, I'm an architect, and she's in marketing, so money was never an issue. We traveled, hosted dinner parties, and spent weekends dreaming about our future, which always included kids. But when we started trying for a family, things didn't go as smoothly as I'd hoped. After a year of trying with no success, we went to a fertility specialist. Turns out, I have some minor issues, but nothing that couldn't be worked around. Still, Rebecca seemed frustrated and impatient. I chalked it up to stress and told myself we'd get through it together. About a year ago, things started to change. Rebecca began working late more often. At first, I didn't think much of it. She's always been ambitious, so I assumed she was gunning for a promotion or something. But then the excuses started piling up. She'd cancel plans last minute, always had her phone on silent, and would get defensive if I asked too many questions. I started noticing other red flags too. She was suddenly obsessed with her appearance. New clothes, hitting the gym more, even getting her hair done every couple of weeks. She wasn't doing any of this for me, that much was clear. I'd compliment her, and she'd brush me off like it didn't matter. One night, I casually mentioned her late nights at work, joking about her becoming a workaholic. She snapped at me, saying I didn't understand how much pressure she was under. That was the first time I felt like something was seriously wrong. Things came to a head about 6 months later when she announced she was pregnant. I should have been overjoyed. I'd wanted this for years, but something about the way she told me felt off. She didn't seem excited. In fact, she looked nervous, almost guilty. I asked her if she was happy, and she gave me this forced smile and said, "Of course I am," but my gut was screaming at me that something wasn't right. The doubts started eating away at me. We hadn't been intimate as often as we used to, and the timing didn't add up. Still, I didn't want to be that guy, the one who accuses his wife of cheating without proof. So, I pushed my feelings aside and tried to be supportive. Then came the night I overheard her on the phone with her best friend. It was late and she thought I was asleep. She was crying and saying things like, "What if he finds out? And I can't lose him. He's my stability." My stomach dropped. I wanted to barge in and demand answers, but I knew I needed more information first. Over the next few weeks, I started paying attention. Rebecca had been careful about hiding her tracks, but nobody's perfect. I noticed repeated calls to a number I didn't recognize and decided to do a little digging. A quick reverse lookup revealed it belonged to Ethan, one of her coworkers. I confronted her a week later. She denied everything at first, but when I mentioned Ethan by name, she broke down and confessed. She admitted to having an affair with him for almost a year but swore it was over. She begged me to forgive her, saying the baby was mine and we could move past this. I didn't believe her, but I played along for the sake of the baby. I agreed to stay and even suggested therapy, but I also told her we'd need a paternity test once the baby was born. She reluctantly agreed. The months that followed were torture. I was a mess, barely sleeping or eating. Rebecca acted like everything was fine, but I couldn't stand to be around her. I felt like a stranger in my own home. When the baby was born, all it took was one look to confirm what I already knew. Ethan is white and so is the baby. I'm black. There was no way this child was mine. Still, I went through with the paternity test to have solid evidence. When the results came back confirming I wasn't the father, Rebecca had the audacity to act surprised. She actually tried to guilt trip me, saying, "What does it matter? You've always wanted kids, and this baby needs a father." That was the final straw. I told her I wanted a divorce. That's when she turned nasty. She started accusing me of abandoning her and the baby, calling me heartless and selfish. She even threatened to take me to court for child support. I wasn't about to let her manipulate me any further. I lawyered up and filed for divorce, citing infidelity. I also sued her for paternity fraud, which is recognized in our state. The legal battle was brutal. Rebecca tried to paint herself as the victim, but the evidence was overwhelming. The court ruled in my favor on the paternity fraud case, which meant I wasn't responsible for child support. On top of that, I got to keep the house, as I'd purchased it before we were married. Rebecca walked away with next to nothing. Ethan, predictably, ghosted her the moment she told him about the baby. So now she's raising his child alone. As for me, I've been focusing on rebuilding my life. Therapy has been a lifesaver, and I've started dating again. Trusting people is hard after what I went through, but I'm taking it one step at a time. Looking back, I'm grateful I found out the truth before it was too late. If I'd blindly accepted Rebecca's lies, I'd be stuck raising another man's child and living a life built on deception. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, trust your gut. It won't steer you wrong.